Hey everybody, Matt here. Today I want to do a quick comparison video between these two amp DAC combos, the Steelseries GameDAC and the Astro MixAmp. Now, before we get off into the weeds, I want to just clear something up. I understand that neither one of these are the best amps that you can buy for PC. I understand there's a lot of other options out there, but more importantly, there are dedicated amplifiers that are going to produce better sound than either one of these. I get that, all right? I feel like anytime you try to have a discussion about anything gaming branded, whether that's keyboards, headsets, amplifiers, or even chairs, the enthusiast community comes out of the woodwork shaming any moron who would have the gall to buy a gaming branded thing. Oh, you should build your own keyboard. You should buy a dedicated headset and use a mod mic. Go buy a Herman Miller Aeron from a company that went out of business. We get it, all right? The reason people, and people like me, like buying stuff like this is due to the ease of use. Plug and play. You can have multiple equalizer presets. You can swap between Dolby Digital, which fucking sucks, by the way. But most importantly for me, where I get the most use out of these is due to the fact that it has the game chat mixer. I'm in Discord 90% of the time when I game, all right? I love the ability to either turn my friends down because they're talking about shit I don't care about and I need to listen to the game, and turning the game up because I need to hear something, you know, more important, footsteps, whatever it may be, all right? So I love having that feature at my fingertips, which is why I like using stuff like this. The other thing is, I use open back headphones. I've been using the PC30X since I reviewed them, but if you have these or the Game Ones, they're going to benefit from any amplifier, whether it's great or mediocre, okay? So, getting into the actual meat of the video, if you don't want to watch the entire thing, let's just get this part out of the way. If by some chance you already own one of these, like if you bought the Astro A40s and you already have the MixAmp, or for some reason you already bought this and you're just thinking about this for some reason, don't. You're done. If you already have one of these, you're done. Turn the video off. The differences between them, positive and negative, are so minuscule that there is no point in forking out another $130 to get the other one. So don't do it, please. However, if you don't own either of them and you're super interested in them due to the features that they have, I think the Steelseries GameDAC is a little bit better. I like the layout of it. I like the footprint of it, right? A little bit smaller. I like the features of it. I like the fact that it has a screen that you can scroll through your options. You have a lot more at your fingertips with this than you do with this, even though it's larger and it has more dials or whatever. And I'll get into the differences there about how it all works. But either way, I just think that the GameDAC is a little bit better, okay? I bought the MixAmp with the A40s back in 2019. And I use them exclusively up until I bought this in July of this year. And the deal is, I think the audio on this is just a hair better than the MixAmp. I swapped back and forth for a couple of weeks, and every time I swapped back to the GameDAC, I thought it just sounded a little bit crisper, a little bit clearer. So take that for what it's worth. Again, I'm just one guy. I'm not a huge channel. I don't have the scientific equipment to say, oh, the frequency response to this is 2.7% better. I have no fucking idea. I just think it sounds better, all right? This is just my opinion, okay? So the video today, I'm gonna break down into a physical comparison between the two, kind of like the build quality as well as the inputs, outputs they have on them, a features comparison, and then go into the differences in the software, which they're pretty much identical, and just kind of wrap it all up. So again, you don't wanna watch the entire thing. Differences are so minuscule that kind of get which one you ever want, but I think the Steelseries GameDAC is a little better. So let's go ahead and get into it. Jumping into the physical comparison, it's easy to tell that the Astro MixAmp is significantly larger than the Steelseries GameDAC. Whether or not that matters is entirely up to you. To me, it doesn't. I have a huge desk, so the footprint was never really an issue or a selling point to me, all right? I will say that the GameDAC, even though it's smaller, I thought it was going to be significantly smaller. You know, the only picture I had seen of this was on Amazon, and they never do a great job of kind of showing you the scale of what you're working with, so I was pleasantly surprised. I thought this was going to be like a tiny piece of plastic, and it's not, right? It's definitely a little bit heftier than I thought it would be. Both of them have this nice soft touch plastic to them. The MixAmp one picks up fingerprints a little bit better, but again, that shouldn't really matter to you so much, all right? In terms of the inputs and outputs and all that stuff, both of them connect to your PC via micro USB or the digital optical input, okay? They both have your line out to your headset, all right? On the MixAmp, it's right here at the bottom of it. In the GameDAC, it's just goofy. It has it on the side, and you have to use this proprietary little cable to actually get it to work, and then you have the 3.5 jack coming out of the side of it. I hate this with a passion. I don't hate it enough to not ever use it, but I just don't understand why they went that route with it coming out of the side. It's just weird, man. Like, why not just have a straight 3.5 jack on the side or on the front? I don't know. I don't get that, but I'm not a fan of the way they decided to go with that route. The MixAmp definitely has more physical buttons, inputs, all that kind of crap. On the back of it, you have the ability to daisy chain these together, which I have no earthly idea why normal people like you or I would ever need to do that. But apparently, since this is a tournament thing, you can connect them together. Again, I've never used it, never will. You have a stream input. You have auxiliary as well, like if you wanted to connect like a music player to it or something like that. And then you have a physical button to swap between. This one is for Xbox and PC. You can get one that's for PlayStation and PC, but you have a physical button to swap between which device you are using, okay? On the GameDAC, you have a line out and a mobile on the back, which is pretty much the same thing as that auxiliary on the MixAmp. But to swap between your inputs, like which one you want, you actually have to go into the menu here and select which one you want to do. All right, so you can go to your input right here. Might be a little bit hard to see, but crap, sorry. Go to your input. This is difficult to do. But you can select between your PC, PS4, PS5, whatever it may be. I love the fact that this has that little screen, all right? Steelseries has always made a habit of doing things that aren't needed, like putting a screen on a fucking mouse, okay? But I like having the screen for this simply because you're able to do more than you can with that, all right? With the MixAmp, what you're able to do is turn your volume up and down, your overall volume. This is your game chat volume mixer. All right, at the top here, you have the ability to turn on that Dolby Digital. And then down here, this button swaps between your equalizer presets, okay? It is a nice unit in terms of the fact that like you'll have these lights. They're red when everything is muted. They'll be white when it's unmuted. You have the lights letting you know whether or not that Dolby is on. And you have your equalizer presets. My light is kind of dimmed there, just I think due to the years of it being used, but something to note. Whereas again, on the Steelseries, you just have a much wider variety of options, okay? First off, it does everything that one does, plus some, all right? So you have the ability, instead of having two dials, you just swap between them. If you see that little middle button there, the little light, that's what's letting you know which one you have selected. Then you can long press that button and you get into the actual menu of the device, okay? You can go into the headphone, the audio part, you can turn on Dolby. You can go to your equalizer, choose your presets, which you can mess around with in the software. The glare is atrocious, I apologize. You can change your gain setting. You can change your side tone or mic monitoring and change your mic volume. Now with the mic volume part, you definitely wanna have your friends helping out in Discord to let you know what they find to be comfortable. I had mine at 10 to start off with and they were like, holy shit, man, you're shouting at us. So I had to turn that down, all right? But that's not all, right? Like I said, you can change your input, you can change the output even, you can change the brightness of the display, and if you have a Steelseries headset connected, you can change the illumination of it. So definitely more features with the GameDAC. Whether or not you want to have that kind of menu to scroll through, personal preference again, but I just like the fact that you're able to do so much more with it, okay?
Let's go ahead and do a software comparison here. First off, just so y'all know how something like this works, you'll notice that when you plug one of these in, you actually get two inputs, okay? Each one, down at the bottom right here, has a game and voice input. So you have the MixAmp Pro Game and the Pro Voice. If you want to use the chat and volume mixer, you need to have your output down here selected on the game. So that's GameDAC Game or MixAmp Pro Game. And then if you're using Discord, you're going to want to go in and make sure that you have your microphone as the input device and the headphone as the output. That way, when you use that scroll wheel to adjust the mixer on the fly, it'll actually do it properly, okay? Just something to note. So first off, the Astro software. You have to download it from the Microsoft Store, and as you can tell, people just really love it. To be honest, I don't see why it gets so much hate. It does work just fine in my opinion. So first off, you have the ability to change the equalizers. These correspond to the 4 lights that go down the center of that MixAmp, okay? The ones that come default are what Astro has called their own. You have balance, natural base, tournament, all right? You can go into each one of these if you want to and adjust it however you want, and then hit save, and it'll write itself to the MixAmp. Okay, you can go into the microphone setting here. From here, you can change your noise gate, which is important to some people. Maybe if you're a streamer or something like that. I just left mine on night mode, which was, like they say, it's the least aggressive one. So it's ideal for night gaming sessions, which is when I game. You have the ability to adjust your mic input. I always had mine at maximum. No one ever complained about that. And you can change your side tone as well. I do like the slider bars for sure. With the GameDAC, it's just, you know, off, low, medium, high. So that's pretty cool, I think. Streamport I never use, so I couldn't tell you exactly how that works. But there's the Astro Command Center. Really not bad. Not sure why it has 1.7 stars, but anyways. Steelseries GG is what you have to use for the GameDAC here. And again, you have pretty much the exact same options. So on the fly, you can turn on your digital 7-pointers around, which I just think sounds awful. You can change your presets there. You can make your own. I have the gain. You can change your gain from low to high if that matters to you. Mic side tone, again, you can change, but it's just at different steps, right? And then mic volume, same thing there. You do have some settings that you can mess with in terms of the unit itself, which is screen brightness and then the screen timeout, basically, you know, how long until it just turns itself off. So like I had said, the software is identical. There's not enough of a difference here to warrant one or the other. So yeah, hope that helps out.
All right, so that basically wraps up the meat of the comparison, okay? Like I said at the very beginning, I personally think that the Steelseries GameDAC is a little bit better and worth buying. Something I did forget to mention, though, in the physical comparison, features comparison, was just how much I appreciate the ability to swap the gain and side tone on the fly. So side tone to me, as I've mentioned before, is incredibly important. I need to be able to hear myself when I game. So the options here are all really good. High on this is definitely louder than the max side tone on the MixAmp. It's also worth noting too that overall volume-wise, I found that the MixAmp does get louder overall, okay? Both of these at max volume is unhealthy, I think, to have that loud for that long. I honestly don't really turn the volume up that much with the MixAmp. With this one, I keep it at about 75% on the GameDAC. So just something to consider there. But again, max volume on these should be adequate for anybody. Just important to note. So that's going to do it for the video, guys. I hope that this was informative and helpful if you are on the fence about considering buying either one of these. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down and provide some feedback as to what I could have done better or different. If y'all have any topics or products that you want me to cover, please let me know. And I will see y'all soon. Have a great rest of the week.